Rule number 2, everything is both part of a greater system and a whole thing unto itself. Immanuel Kant's great work, right? The critique of pure reason. Now, what Kant was saying is that all of us have this fundamental belief that somehow we're unique or individual. Now, I had this happen to me a few years back. I was at Torrey Pines in San Diego, and there's a very famous statue there called the Self-Made Man. And it's a person kind of carving himself out of rock. So think of Michelangelo, pulling himself as an orthogonal twist out of a piece of marble. And what was interesting to me is when I first saw it, I fell into the same trap we all fall into. I said to myself, I'm a self-made man. I grew up in a HUD house. I have 1 million brothers and sisters. I came to college as a wrestler. Nobody thought I was going to do anything. I worked all the time, and I became someone. And you ever have that moment where you're like, I did it? And then you start thinking through carefully, and what do you start thinking about? The teacher who saw something in you. The coach who wrote a letter for you. The guy who didn't need to give you a Teamster job but gave you a Teamster job. The person who took you into the doctoral program but didn't need to take you into the doctoral program. And what do you figure out immediately? No one in here is self-made. I don't care where you came from. You were not made individually. Now, every year around this time, I fall into this trap. And I'm guessing you do too. I read a self-help book over Christmas. I love self-help books. I'm addicted to them, even though most of them are terrible. And I start out, this is Santa Claus. I love Santa. He's my hero, Santa Claus. And I start out by saying, you know what I'm doing next year? I've worked really hard, and I just turned 60 years old, and I've made a little money, I've done okay. I'm going to quit it all, and I'm going to move up north, and I'm going to write a crappy fantasy book. That's what I'm doing. I've had enough of the bureaucracy. How many are with me? You've had enough of the bureaucracy? You had enough? I've had enough. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not taking it anymore. Yeah, you read the book too, right? I'm reading that book. I'm self-authorizing all the things I'm supposed to be. Except there's a problem. And that is my nesting doll fits inside, guess what? Another nesting doll. A bigger Santa Claus. Who's in this Santa Claus? Well, my wife Stanny is in this Santa Claus. What does she think about me taking the year off? If she likes it, I probably have a big problem at home, right? My dean at my school, my business partners, the people at NPR in charge of my radio program, they probably are not thrilled with me moving up north and writing a crappy fantasy novel. Now, on top of that is what? There's another Santa Claus. And this Santa Claus is called reality. There's a financial crisis. Yeah, you think about it. We had a 10-year run, guys. I used to be an advisor to the Federal Reserve. These things don't go on forever. Don't kid yourself. Right? There's a pandemic. Somebody decides to attack. There's a war. That's what you guys are all about. Yeah, that Santa Claus is bigger than the communal Santa Claus. Now, here's the point. Innovation and creativity is not created through freedom. It's created through constraints. It's the workaround. It's what do we do? Right? It's the person's, there's a terrible bureaucracy. It's so bad, nobody can get anything done until you see what? Somebody get it done. Then what do? Cheater, pumpkin eater. No! It's a person who's figured out how to be creative in a functionally restrictive environment. So the second rule, you're not self-created. You're not alone. We are both creating and created. Anything that you've become in life has been a group project. And consider yourself lucky. Somebody cared about you enough, or something happened to you that turned out pretty well.